Hey guys, welcome to Sorare Capital. Last week we were talking about the MLS. On episode 2 this week we're talking about the best buys under £10. So let's get into it. So I've chosen Calvin Phillips. If you look on his scores, if you go back to when he was playing for Leeds, he was getting quite a few good scores at Leeds. But then when he's gone to Manchester City, he hasn't got as many good scores, but he doesn't play as much as what he used to. But I believe that he has got the capabilities of being a really good player, and he is currently being linked with West Ham right now because Declan Rice looks like he's going to Arsenal at this moment in time, as he was linked with Man City as well, but they have pulled out. So at this moment in time, it looks like he's going to Arsenal, and they are looking for a new CDM.
I like this shout. From what you said before, he was getting quite decent score. I wouldn't say him absolutely amazing, but again, nothing. He's getting a lot better than what he is now at City. If he does get that move, like you said, what would you say he's linked to? Who? West Ham? If it looks like Rice going to Arsenal, isn't he? So they're going to need a CDM. So if it's West Ham, I think he would suit him down to a T, just like Rice was as well, because I remember Calvin Phillips watching him back at the Leeds day, and I wanted him at United because I thought he was a good little buy. Obviously it hasn't worked out for him, but yeah, like I said, I think that's a good little shout. And £7, just under £8 at the moment. Yeah, it's quite a good little shout.
He's got the capabilities of doing really well. He done quite well under Bielsa, and they were a struggling Leeds side. So West Ham, they're obviously a bit better than the struggling team. They've just won the European Cup, the Conference League.
Yeah.
So I reckon it'll be a really good fit for him.
Right, my player is Neil Maupay, Everton attacker, of course. Safe to say it's gone rubbish for him in this whole season. But I firmly believe, I think he's been linked with, actually, Dan. He's been linked with teams both in Italy and in Spain. As you can see, his scores are quite abysmal ever since he went from left to Brighton, and then he went to obviously Everton now. But if he does get that link to, I would say Italy would probably best suit him. I think he can score a goal. I can see him at a team like, if Højlund leaves, I can see him at Atalanta or something like that. I can really see him in those sort of teams. Maybe even like a Roma. I don't know if they need a striker. I'm not aware. But at 26 years old, he's still got, he should be peaking around this time and within the next couple of years. So for me, I think it's a good little shout for under £3. I don't know what your take is on that.
Well, even if he doesn't go, he's still got to prove under Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche only come in with 8 games left of the season or something like that for Everton to keep him up. He hasn't really been able to showcase what he can actually do at Everton, with obviously changing managers and being poor. We know what he was like when he was at Brighton. He was a really good striker at Brighton. Scored a lot of goals and stuff. So under Everton, even if he doesn't leave this transfer window, I still think it'll be a good buy, because under Sean Dyche, Sean Dyche likes strikers like him, so he could do well. But yeah, no, I like it. How much is it? He's cheap, and
yeah, it's £2.69 right now, so under £3, which I just believe even if he was to get a move to, like I said, the Spain, Italy, or even somewhere in the Championship, I reckon his price will be easily double just from the news alone. But yeah.
Even if one of the new teams come up, like Luton buy him, I reckon he'll do really well. So
that'd be a nice little coup for them, definitely.
So my next player that I've chosen is Kyle Walker-Peters. Don't know if anyone's aware, but he has been linked recently to Newcastle alongside Livramento. He's currently worth just under £5. I believe he's £4.5p or something like £4.4p. Very good player. If you go back to how he was at the start of his Southampton career and end of Tottenham career, you'll see he did get actually quite a few good scores. even midway through his Southampton career, he's still got, quite decent scores. Not always amazing, but he got up there, and he's only young as well. He's only 26, so he's still got a lot of years to prove yet. With him being cheap as well and potentially on the move, I reckon if he stays in the Championship, it would be a really good buy. I reckon he'd do really well in the Championship for Southampton. But if he did leave Southampton and ended up into a Premier League team, I still think he would do really well. At the end of last season, or for most of last season, along with the whole Southampton squad, they just weren't that good enough. But we know what he's capable of if you go back to what he was like when he was at the start of his Southampton career, when Southampton were reaching mid-table. So I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I actually think he'll be a really good buy, especially for, just under £5.
Yeah, well, you can't really go wrong for under £5, can you? Like you said, Southampton, the way they're going to be playing, I can't remember the name of their new manager, but isn't it the now Swansea manager? What was his name? Do you remember?
Can't remember his name. So.
No, okay. Well, no, apparently he plays quite good attacking flair football. So in which case, Kyle Walker-Peters does really well in something like that. I don't think his defensive capabilities are as good as attacking. But yeah, with Southampton going down to the Championship, although the Championship's probably going to be one of the hardest to win or get promotion from ever, I think. I do feel Southampton are up there to at least reach the playoffs. So in which case, he's got a lot of utility in him, a lot of games to play, a lot of midweek games to play. And like I said, under £5, you can't go really wrong. I'd actually prefer him not to move. I'd prefer him to stay at Southampton. And I think Newcastle, he'd be a backup. If Livramento does go, then that's even more reason to keep Walker-Peters. But yeah, I like it. I like his past scores, especially in a struggling Southampton side that's been struggling for quite a few years now, hasn't it, in the Prem? So it was only about time they went down. So yeah, I would say it's a good little pickup. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on him, especially closer to the season. All right, my next pick now is Alex Telles, and as you can see, obviously he's on loan still. He should be finished now, June 30th. So yeah, it'll be today he's done. From Sevilla back to Manchester United. I believe he has one more year left on his contract at United. Why I think he's going to be really good is because back in the day he played for Porto, right? Now there's heavy links at the moment because United want to get rid of him, and they want to. Apparently Porto are coming in on a loan to loan him for a year and then get him on a free after that year. Well, that just sums United up perfectly, doesn't it? But as you can see here, just before finishing his scores, he has scores back here all the way at the bottom. And you can see here his last 3 games for Porto were 60, 66.5 and 100. Yeah, in 100 he got 2 goals, 1 assist, good AA score on the other, and an assist in the game against Maritimo. Yeah, probably butchered that. My bad. But yeah, I think if he does, he's only 30 as well. He's not like 34, 35 where he hasn't got the legs. Like, he's got plenty of life in him, at least another 2-3 years, especially in the Portuguese league and such a dominating team like Porto. I believe it can just work out completely for him. And we're back home essentially where he's comfortable. I know he's Brazilian, but he spent the majority of his playing career with Porto, so I believe this is going to be a really good little buy, to be honest with you. And just under £9 at the moment, 8.38 as we're recording. And I believe as well, if I remember right, Porto are looking to sell their left back. Can't remember his name, but they're looking to sell their left back as well. So again, that just strongly suggests that they are going to look like bringing in some experience with the likes of Alex Telles.
Yeah, I think they would be a very good buy, especially for what did you say his price was again? Just under £9.
Yes.
Yeah, so just under £9, can't really go wrong. He's obviously proven in the big leagues. I thought he actually, at the start of his Man United career, I thought he didn't do too bad, but he was getting used to obviously the new league, so got a couple of high greens. I think because he's he obviously knows the Portuguese league. He's played for Porto before. He scored, very good high scores in his last 3 games as well for Porto. I actually believe that he'll do really well back in the Portuguese league. You know that he's done it before at Porto, so if he ends up going to Porto, I think under £9, that's a very good buy. Next one is Harry Winks. Go back to the Pochettino times when Harry Winks was playing under Pochettino up until the 2019 season. After the UEFA Champions League final, he actually was a really good player. He was constantly in the first team. He was, everyone said, like all the press, all the pundits all said that he was going to be this next big player, an Iniesta-like player. And I wish you could actually see his scores on here from back then, but obviously we can't. If you go back and you look at all of his scores, he has scored some high greens, when he has played for Tottenham. Not consistent enough at the time, but I think the Premier League was a little bit too much for him. He then got injured, went off to Sampdoria, didn't manage to hit the ground running at Sampdoria because of his injury, but he had surgery, and now he then played quite a few games towards the end to try and get fit. He still scored some average scores of 50, not just under 50, but I reckon the Championship will be a great league for him to play in. He's linked quite heavily with Leicester, with the whole James Maddison moving to Tottenham. Okay. Harry Winks now linked with Leicester. I actually believe that he will play really well at Leicester in the Championship. I think now that he's had his injury, he's had his surgery, I think now he can hit the ground running again and become the player he once was. He's now 27. He's not reached his peak yet. When he reaches his peak at the age of 29, 28, whatever, I reckon he'll be a great player for Leicester. Bring him back up into the Premiership, and I reckon he'll just do really well, score really high scores.
Yeah, I was going to ask you as well. This is probably very similar to the Carl Walker-Peters debate, where he's going to a lesser league. I know it's a hard league, Championship, but in regards to the ability in some of the Premier League, it's a lot less. So you're saying he's been linked now? Is he on loan to Leicester or transfer?
No, so at the moment he's still currently on loan at Sampdoria. I believe actually his last day is today. He comes back to Tottenham, and Tottenham are looking to sell him off to Leicester. Leicester City have come in for him, so it's going to be a straight buy. So he's going to buy him.
Yeah, well, that like I said, like with the Carl Walker-Peters debate, is that because he's going to the lesser league, he could probably shine a bit more. It is a very physical league, mind you, so I'm not too sure how he would maybe cope. And I've not really seen him play before, but you said he's very like Iniesta, or would you say he's more like Maddison, that sort of role that Leicester can fill the void with?
Back in 2019, 2016, 17, 18, he was a really good player. He was, talked about becoming like an Iniesta-like player. That never happened. He got his injury. His injuries continued. He struggled. He's had surgery now, and now he's on his recovery period. Where actually, if you look at his previous games for Sampdoria, now bearing in mind they're a struggling side who actually ended up getting relegated and finished bottom of Serie A, you'll see he still scores some scores that were, over 50. His decisive scores weren't very good. But even still, he's come back from injury, he's trying to get fit, he's in a new league, Serie A is completely different ball games, obviously the Premier League and the Championship. Now that he's coming back to the Championship at Leicester, even though the Championship is a physical league, I know what Harry Winks can do, and he's actually a very good player. He can actually get into like big challenges and get stuck into a game, but he just needs to get his confidence back, and I reckon at Leicester he can do that. Okay. He is a CDM, but he can also play centre mid.
Well, they're going to need him now, aren't they? Now that they've lost the likes of Maddison and Tielemans, for example, aren't they? So he could be a good little shout. I mean, like you say, 27, so he should be starting to pick up some form hopefully now, ever since like you said, the injury. So,
and he's only £6.47. No, £6.32. Sorry. So
yeah, it's under £7.
Now when he's cheap after a few games in the championship, builds his confidence up, gets better, and does really well. So that's my thoughts anyway. That's why I picked him.
My second to last pick is Marius Bolter. I reckon I butchered that, but I'm not German, so there you go. For just under £5, it's actually just over £4 at the moment, £4 4p, but under £5. I mean, I believe he is a good little steal, to be honest with you. For those who don't know, Schalke have been relegated yet again to the second tier, the Bundesliga. After again a rancid 3/4 of the season, they actually picked up a lot of points to the back end of the season, as you can see from his yearly scores. 30s and 40s all over the place at the start, but near the back end you've got your dark and light greens. That's because he started really picking up form, and Schalke really tried to give it one last ditch attempt to stay in the Bundesliga. From what I can remember, his time, he stayed with Schalke back when they were in the second tier of the Bundesliga. He did really well, scoring, assisting, got 2 assists here against, I'm not even going to pronounce that, but another goal here, another assist. Like, he was quite pivotal to getting Schalke back in to the Bundesliga. And now that they have dropped down, I believe it's going to be another repeat. I think they're too good to be in the second tier, but not good enough like to be into the top tier. It's very much like a Norwich, as someone who keeps bouncing up and down from the Championship to the Premier League, and just aren't good enough for the Prem, and not good enough too good for the Championship. And that's how I feel with Schalke. Again, they got very favourable matchups, being Schalke against Hamburg, etc. And yeah, I think if just over £4, he can do really well and get you those high scores. Especially at 30 years of age now, he's going to have the experience head on his shoulders, and he knows where the goal is, as well as a good assist.
His decisive scores are really good.
Yeah.
If you look at his, greens, like his decisive scores are always really high. So, but he's always relying on his decisive scores and not really his all-round score. I actually remember Bolter, playing with him on FIFA and stuff. Schalke used to be a team that used to be in the Champions League, but now that they're in the league below, is that not a bit of a downgrade for a 30-year-old? I know he's 30, but he's in his prime.
Well, he's been with Schalke since 2021. Beforehand, they bought him from, looks like, Union Berlin. So no, I wouldn't say. I'd say he's quite well suited for it. Almost like again, I link it to a Norwich player, or now an ex-Norwich player, but like Timo Pukki. He could score goals for fun in the lower league, but when it comes to the bigger horses, he's not quite yet ready to ride them.
To be honest, I think with this league, the Bundesliga is already quite poor, really. I think this league as well, I think he'll find it quite a doddle. I think he'll score quite a lot of high scores. There's still some tough teams in here, so Hamburg he may struggle against, Paderborn he may struggle against, Hertha BSC he may struggle against, but other than that, I reckon he'll do really well in this league. The next player I chose is Oliver Skipp. Now, the reason why I chose Oliver Skipp, there may be some debate on this, but I know because Tottenham are looking to sell Højbjerg. He's been linked with Athletic Club, is it right?
Atletico Madrid, I've seen recently.
Madrid. So Atletico Madrid are coming in for Højbjerg at this moment in time. I have seen rumours, only rumours about him potentially going back to Bayern Munich. So it looks like Højbjerg's on his way out, which means Bentancur is going to come back in after his injury, but also Skipp is going to get some good game time. Because I know that Angie Postecoglou, sorry Angie if I got your name wrong, I know that he likes the young players, like a bit like Pochettino style, young players attacking. I reckon Skip's going to get quite a lot of game time. If you look at his previous scores, bearing in mind Tottenham haven't had the best of seasons, they've been pretty poor all season, conceding a lot of goals. So I'm not really expecting his scores to be massively high, but his scores, as you can see, for a 22-year-old, not bad. Breaking into the Premier League, breaking into the first team at Tottenham. I reckon it can only get better from here. He just needs consistent game time, which he will get under Angie. If you look at his all-time score, and if you look back, you will see here from his loan spell at Norwich. Now they were in the Championship, but he was only, I believe at the time, he was only like 20 or 19, 20. And he scored quite a few high scores there, and he averaged around, if you see, 50. Went a bit downhill when he come into Tottenham, but you know, he's not started every single game. He's been up and down trying to break into the first team. Some games he's not played all game. So I reckon there's still a lot to improve. Like I said, he's only young, he's only 22. And with him playing week in, week out under Angie, I reckon he'll do really well.
I'm sensing a bit of a theme going on here. You've got Carl Walker-Peters, you've got Harry Winks, and then you've got Oliver Skipp. Is there something you want to tell us?
They're just really good youngsters.
Right, nothing to do with you being a Spurs fan, was it?
Well, I'm currently wearing a Palace top.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I wore Southampton last week. That's got Walker-Peters on the back.
I like the look of his form back when you say Norwich. Were they? Did you say they were in the Prem or were they in the Championship at that point?
Norwich were in the Championship at that point.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I can see that. Yeah. It's got some good little scores. And then was that a big injury or something like that happened there, or he just was not getting played? All those DMPs.
He wasn't getting played under.
Was it Mourinho?
Nuno or Mourinho? Mourinho or Nuno?
It was probably both, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
I don't know much about this one, so I'm going to have to take your word for it. What sort of style does he play? Who does he play like?
He's a CDM, so he plays a bit like Declan Rice. So he likes to get on the ball at the back, but he likes to play it forward. He likes to get, build-up play. So start from the back, he likes to get on the ball and then he likes to pass it forward. You rarely see Skip pass it back. He's always going forward, running forward, sprinting forward. He has efforts at goal as well, shots on goal. He gets stuck into all the defensive part of the game that he needs to get into. So I've watched him quite a lot this season, obviously being a Spurs fan. I've watched him quite a lot this season, and even though on here his scores, they don't show it, he had a couple of good games, but I understand that he's breaking into the team, and if you actually watch his game, you'll see him always going forward, and that's with a Conte side, Jose Mourinho side, Nuno Espirito Santo side, they're always slow, and they always pass side to side, left to right, try and find the gaps. Angie and Pochettino, their teams where they build up from the back, but they build quick, and it's quick passing, quick play, all the way up to the top. Always going forward, rarely going back unless they have to. That's the type of player Skip is. He's always a player that likes to get stuck in and goes forward and moves towards the goal. So that's why I think under Angie, I think he'll be a totally different player. Probably take him a couple of games to get stuck into it, but after that, him and Bentancur, brilliant partnership.
I've chosen Adama Traore. As you can see, he's got no club now, as his contract actually finished as of today with Wolves. I just feel like he was so underutilised at Wolves and Barca, even when he was on loan. I think this guy, at the right team, like a Tottenham, I think he would suit you guys to a T for Spurs. Somebody who is just so positive, attack. I think it's just the only thing he lacks is that final end product. I really do, and I feel like with a good coach, somebody who is a proper coach, can just teach him how to just cross the ball and to finish off, which is things that you can easily start to get better with, as opposed to the other physical skills he has to offer. Like, he is lightning quick, we all know that. He, as you can see from just the picture alone, he is built like a brick bleep house. Yeah. And he was up there as well, I believe. I can't remember what it was. I think it was last year when he was actually playing regularly, or the year before that. He was up there with the most successful dribbles with Messi, and he had higher successful dribbles than Messi. So this mate, he does it all, and like I said, just the assists and the shooting. I know it's quite an important thing, but I feel like I said before, if he gets somebody who is a good coach who can teach him and be patient with him, he's got every other physical attribute people would dream of having. I really do feel like he's got the physical attributes of someone like a Ronaldo. So just or a Messi, you can't touch him. As soon as that man's on the ball, he's got one thing and one thing only, and he just sprints like a steam train, and you cannot stop him. And I love that about him. To watch him, he is electric.
There's a reason why you can't stop him.
Why?
He's the only player I know that uses baby oil on his arms.
Yeah, I think that's quite smart, you know, because he's always constantly getting dragged back by your arms and stuff. So, yeah, to put baby oil on his arms, there's bloody wham arms. No homo,
that's why you can't stop him.
Yeah, I know, but still, like, he is, I think, a physical specimen. But apart from that, I do think his footballing is good. It's just, you know, the last third he just really does lack, and that's such a shame. But I mention him as well because he's actually being heavily linked with Roma and AC Milan at the moment, and I feel like, again, he would rip that league apart. I really do. And I do think, again, if he got the coach, especially, imagine if he went to Roma and got a Jose Mourinho to coach him properly to be able to get better. I know Jose's not so much good in regards to development. He usually buys, you know, proper A-list stars. But if he sees something in Adama, he will give him the time and patience to get better. I really do feel that way. Adama always used to be played for Wolves all the time. He never used to really be played as a winger. He used to get played like as a right wing back. And he was actually alright today. It wasn't great. Again, very similar to Kyle Walker-Peters. He's more attacking rather than defensive. But again, if he wants to utilise him as a right mid or a right wing or a right wing back, he can do it all, Sorare. I really do believe it. It's just that last final third, and that is it.
I think he's more of a winger than a wing back. I know he's played wing back, but I think he's more of a winger. I think he'll suit AC Milan style more than Roma's style.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just feel like either way, I'd love him at United. I really would. I don't get why he's so underappreciated. Like I said, I think it's just because he's not amongst those, you know, the goals and the assists. But if he does ever bring that to his game, and at 27, you know, just under £8 at the moment, 27 years old, can only get better, realistically or typically for a footballer at this point. You know, from his past scores, he got all these nice little greens and stuff, got a lot of oranges, of course, but it's been on and off the bench and it's not been given the proper and appropriate game time. I feel like he truly can get, you know, and also he came from Barca's academy, so mainly a lot of players that come through there are just different, you know, they are just different gravy. So yeah, Adama Traore is my last final pick.
Good pick. I think he's a good pick. I think especially if he goes off to Roma or AC Milan. Mainly AC Milan, I think he'll do better at, but you never know with Jose Mourinho. Sometimes he can get the best out of players, sometimes he can ruin them like Dele Alli. You never know.
Could you imagine a Rafael Leao and a Adama Traore wingers at Milan? I'd love to see that.
Thank you for watching Sorare Capital. I hope you enjoyed the episode 2 of Best Buys under £10. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also put in a comment if you got one. On Twitter, we have a Twitter page called Capital Sorare where we actually update everyone with transfer rumours or best buys or best picks. So make sure you give that a like, a follow, and a tweet. See you soon. Bye.